welcome to episode 31 of the Data Brigade podcast. I'm Keith the Bearded Tank.
I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
We got a guest.
We got another guest. We are interviewing Scott from Warfighter Tobacco. If you don't know who Warfighter Tobacco is, you guys need to look them up. I stumbled upon them two ways. One, they were involved in a giveaway that I had entered in. And two, a friend of mine that got married got a couple of their cigars, and I had one at the wedding. So that's how I really heard about them. And I actually really enjoyed the cigar. I believe it was your guys' 556 that we had.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. So why don't you go ahead and give us a little background on yourself and some background on like Warfighter and the history of Warfighter and stuff with that.
Well, I'll start with me a little bit. I was in the Army. I joined in 97, and I got out in 2007. I served with the 101st Airborne as an infantryman. I got out as I was an infantryman most of the time, team leader, and then I transitioned over to the sniper section. And I was a sniper section leader for a little while. And then a soda constructor because we shared the base with 5th Group Special Forces, and they let the 101st guys go through. I went through. They offered me an instructor spot, so I did that for 8 months in between deployments, and then got out after my second deployment in 2006. Got out right at the beginning of 2007. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you got to experience a little bit of Iraq, but you didn't have to deal with like all the craziness from Ramadi and all that. The second round.
I was there in 2003 through the initial push. I took 2004 off and then was back 2005 and 6. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of the initial like craziness to winning the hearts and minds to having our ROE tie our hands behind our back and not be able to do anything. So.
Yeah.
Experienced a little bit of all that. So I did not get to serve due to medical reasons, and I broke my left ankle 3 times my senior year of high school. Right.
And so they said I was a liability with that, and they're like, give it a couple years, try again. So I waited, and when I turned 24, I was like, well, I might as well try again before I get too old. And I had broke my back in 3 spots, and they're like, no, absolutely not. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not get to go, and it, to this day, bums me out, something fierce.
I hear that all the time from when I talk to people who haven't served, and, what I always say is, everybody has their own path. So, I don't think it should ever feel like an obligation or something that, you just took a different life path, and I don't think there's any fault in that or any, it's just 2 different paths, so it is what it is.
Nice. Never heard it put that way.
No, because I tried almost every branch except for the Marines when I was in high school, but I broke my ankle and I've got plate and screws in my ankle.
Right. It probably would have taken you. You are kind of brainless.
No, shut up. Yeah, who's the tech guy for this? Me.
Yeah, well, remember, I was also signing up to go to the Marines too, so can't say much.
But like, even the National Guard was like, no.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they like to injure you. They don't like you to come in pre-broken. So
yeah.
I had a stack of papers that thick stating that I was cleared by my, the surgeon. Everything was normal.
Yeah.
Everything, and they're like, no, that don't mean jack.
Well, I couldn't get into active duty because I had bad eyesight. So I got a waiver for my eyesight to get into the National Guard. That's how I started. I did like a year and a half while I was in high school yet. And then I went active duty. And because I was prior service, I got to go into active duty. And so I had to play that game too to get in. And then I became a sniper instructor. So the hell with what they said about my vision. So
right. That's the way my brother's doing it. He's in the reserves right now working to go towards active duty because they wouldn't let him go active right off the bat. So
right. Yeah.
He just got back from deployment to Cuba.
Oh yeah, he got to go to Gitmo.
Yeah, he was stationed
Nice.
at Gitmo 31 Bravo. So
Yeah.
So being in the airborne, what was it like being in the airborne and jumping out of planes?
So the 101st Airborne kept their airborne tab because of their lineage. But modern times we're air assault. It's an air assault unit.
Okay.
So we were a lot of helicopters. So it's not an active jumping unit. So I do have a couple civilian jumps, but never a military jump.
So that's why the guys out of the 82nd always make fun of the 101st.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
I never understood that. I'm like, wait a minute, why are you guys? You're both airborne. Why are you making? Now I understand.
Yeah, that's why. But, yeah, we're the 101st is the largest helicopter division in the world. So everything we did was with helicopters. Field artillery was slung load under helicopters. All of our movements was helicopters. So except for when we're walking, we did a lot of walking too. Yeah.
So, give us a little history on Warfighter.
Yeah, so Warfighter started. Well, I'll say this: about 3 years after I got out, I went to school right away for a little bit to be a machinist because I wanted to get into the firearms industry. Did that a little bit. I opened up a gun shop. Kind of grew that to a decent level in Nebraska. We specialize in silencers and NFA items. So into that, about 5 years into that, I wanted a product that was a consumable that I could market and brand myself. Because whenever we did like a cool YouTube video about a gun or whatever, everybody would just go to their local shop and buy the gun, and we wouldn't ever see a return on it. So I wanted to have my own product. I always kind of wanted that. And so I did help kind of start a company called Zermon Arms, and they did like the Bighorn bolt action actions.
Okay.
I kind of started that, and then the partnership, we just kind of grew apart and parted ways. And then at the same time, I was kind of getting Warfighter up and going, and that's kind of an interesting story how it became. But once Warfighter took off, I pretty much just sold my gun shop and had to focus on Warfighter because it made more sense. So, but that's kind of the thought why I wanted to start Warfighter. I didn't know exactly what the product would be or the name or anything like that. I just knew I wanted a consumable. And so I was actually, I don't know if you guys seen the movie Range 15,
Yep.
Black Rifle
He
guys.
has. I have actually
that
not
on.
seen it.
You guys are frozen. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
we can hear
you're
it.
good.
He
All
has
right.
seen it. I have not got to see it actually.
Okay. So when they filmed Range 15, the way they funded it was to take, they crowdfunded it.
Mhm.
So I donated from the business to help them with the movie, and that allowed me to be in the movie. I got to hook up with all the Black Rifle guys, the Ranger Up guys, kind of became friends with them. And Warfighter kind of became a thought while I was filming that movie because I saw all the other veteran-owned companies like doing all this great stuff, right? And I'm like, I want to be in this world. And so when we were filming that, it's kind of when I decided, I'm going to do cigars. Nobody else is really doing cigars in the veteran industry. That's what I'm going to focus on. I had no cigar industry experience at all, so I didn't know anything of what I was doing. But about a year later, at the red carpet event for Range 15, when it was coming out, is when we actually had our first cigars that we released. We brought them, gave them out to everybody at the Range 15 event. So that was kind of a cool thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so I brought on a couple partners or, friends and partners. So one of my partners is Chris Verdico. He kind of helped me start it. He's a retired lieutenant colonel out of the National Guard in Nebraska. Brian Betty is another partner. He's also a retired lieutenant colonel out of the Nebraska National Guard because that's where I was living at the time. So I got to know these guys. John Simons. He was actually in the same platoon as me in the 101st. He was working with me in the gun shop. He became a majority-owned partner. And then Vince Vargas is also a part owner of Warfighter.
Nice.
So getting to hang out with all my friends and do this, big thing. It's really right now it's John and I who run all the day-to-day stuff. The other guys, one's a lawyer, one works for Homeland Security. Vince is doing his thing.
Vince is famous all of a sudden.
Yeah, Vince is just having kids and
yeah,
having kids and making movies. So
yeah, my God, I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I follow Vince, and I was like, wait, that's another onesie. What? Damn, man.
Yeah, he's about. I mean, they're thinking like, I think she's due like second week in February, so they're rolling up right now as the danger zone. So,
and for our listeners, if you don't know who Vince Vargas is, go check him out. He's another cool dude. Works with Black Rifle.
He doesn't work with Black Rifle. He helped start Article 15 clothing.
He helped start Article 15, but I see him in a lot of videos with Matt for Black Rifle.
Yeah, but that was pre-Black Rifle. So.
Oh, that was all pre-Black Rifle.
Yeah. Vince has never been part of Black Rifle.
Wow. Yeah, I'm learning stuff while I'm doing this interview. This is awesome.
Yeah.
But the other cool thing about Vince is he's in the Mayans TV show on FX. And I was going to ask you later on in the questions. So when he smokes the cigars on the episode, is he smoking your guys' cigars?
Yeah, and so does the rest of the cast.
I thought so. I literally was thinking that the other night. I was like, I bet you they all smoke Warfighter cigars. That's awesome.
At one of our so Vince's character is Gilly on the Mayans. He even had Emilio come to our trade show last year and hang out in the booth with us, which is really cool. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little community there too. So.
I'm actually a fan of the show. I really do like the show, and my wife was a very big fan of Sons of Anarchy. And then when they got into this, and when I seen that Vince was going to be in it, and a couple of the other guys, and they were like doing the whole like couple of the guys were veterans and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm liking this.
It took a couple of episodes to like lay out the story and like get into it, but so did Sons of Anarchy. If you go back to the first season, so. It ended good. Like it's a good series. So.
Yeah. So getting into the cigars a little bit. So explain to us like what the different the different styles of cigars you guys have.
Yeah.
I know you guys have like the 5.56, the 50 cal.
Yeah, we actually have two of those. So I even got a prop here.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is what we call our field line. So it's got like our camouflage uniform.
Oh, nice.
This is our garrison line. It's got the shiny bands and a little dressing a little nicer. So the 5.56, 7.62, and 50 in field are different than the 5.56, 7.62, and 50 in garrison. But it kind of starts out mild and goes to a bold, kind of in that order.
Okay.
And so it's a little confusing for people that don't understand garrison and field and the calibers. Like sometimes it's confusing, but like our group of guys, they get it, it's picked up pretty easy. So, but we have a Connecticut, which is pretty mild. It has a little bit of kind of a salsa flavor to it, and then it mellows out a little bit. The Sumatra, this is a cigar we blended for a specific purpose. This one we blended for the guys like in the military or whoever that don't smoke a lot of cigars. But when you sit down with all the guys and you want to smoke cigars, you don't want to like get the too much Ligero or too much tobacco and start feeling sick. So this is a really mild, easy smoking cigar. I like it when I'm active, like if I'm on a golf course or
that'd probably be that'd be more of my type of cigar.
Yeah, it's kind of what I would consider the entry level like like what, I don't know what to expect. So this is where I suggest starting. And then this 50 cal field is a mild for a Maduro, but it's medium bodied. But it lets some of the sweetness and some of the like cocoa and coffee notes come through.
Oh, nice.
On the Maduro. The Corojo has got a little spice and pepper to it. Medium bodied. This one's my favorite. It's the Rosado. Actually, it's my favorite right now. I kind of rotate. I get on like phases with them. But the Rosado, it's kind of like a fatty meat kind of flavor is what I get out of that one. And then our Oscuro Maduro is our boldest cigar.
Wow.
Yeah, that's our line. And then we have one other one called the Victory cigar. It's our kind of our super premium cigar, and that one the retail price is $17.76.
Nice.
So yeah, it's
nice.
But that's a Montefina wrapper. Very, very good cigar. It changes flavor 3 times as you smoke it, kind of.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's a
see, and I've smoked cigars off and on since I was in high school. And, of course, the typical everybody graduates high school, so everybody's got cigars. And I went to the local cigar shop, and I says, I need, never smoked cigars. Hook me up with what you think is best. And he did a good job at it. And the girl I was dating at the time actually stole my cigar, took a hit off of it, and about turned green.
Yeah.
She's like, why are you smoking these? I was like, I could get used to smoking cigars. And
initially, a lot of people don't realize, like in high school, and now they up the federal age to 21, so that's
yes.
But yeah, like a lot of people don't realize you're not supposed to inhale them. There's as much nicotine in a cigar as about a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, and so what happens when you start feeling like that or getting sick? What it's doing is it's messing with your blood sugar level.
Yeah.
And so all you have to do is like eat some chocolate or drink a Coke and like
I've heard that. I've never had to really do that, but I have heard that.
And if you smoke a bold cigar on an empty stomach, you'll notice it. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's the quick fix for it. That's why all the cigar shops and stuff or lounges have like bowls of candy sitting around.
Nice.
Closest thing to a cigar I've ever smoked is a Black and Mild, dude.
Well, we'll have to go hit up Havana House. We have a local cigar shop. They have a cigar shop / coffee shop in one.
Oh, that's perfect.
And it's really a nice place. I've never actually got to go in there and just sit and lounge and smoke a cigar. I've normally had to run in and just buy a couple cigars for like a wedding or something and then dip back out. But they're really, really nice guys. And the old cigar shop where I first went when I was in high school, they closed. But I used to go up and sit up there, and it all a bunch of old Italian guys. Nice. And, young kid walks in and everybody just kind of stares. And I was like, hey, can you hook me up with one of those cigars that you did before? And he's like, yeah, sure. Got me a cigar. I sat down, guys, and just cool conversations because we live in Youngstown, Ohio. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Youngstown. It was big with the steel mills and big with the mob.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so like sitting down, like basically it was like getting a history lesson, just sitting down, smoking a cigar and listening to these guys talk about the old days with the mob and the steel mills. Right. And I'm like, dude, I could do this every day. Like, this is awesome.
So, and that's what I love about cigars, right? Like the whole reason behind Warfighter, why I landed on cigars is because when we're, the first time I smoked a cigar and half the veterans are like in Iraq or when they're deployed, right? And so if you ask any veteran, hey, do you smoke cigars? All of them are going to say, well, yeah. Well, what do you smoke? What was your first cigar you smoked? And the answer is usually, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be that brand where they're going to relate to it. It doesn't come across as like fake marketing because it's just who we are. It's legitimately who we are. Like, I have my kit sitting in the corner from when I was in the military. It's not fake marketing. It's easy because we're just being ourselves, and it's easy to relate to people that way. So, it's fun. And then, like when you're smoking your first cigar in Iraq, right? You're sitting back, you're taking an hour and a half, smoking a cigar, and you're thinking about home. Now, half the time when I sit down and I smoke a cigar, I think about the time in Iraq when I was smoking the cigar. So it brings you back to
it has memories with it.
Yeah. So
so into the cigar, like your guys' cigars, what type of like wrappers and fillers do you guys use?
So I just kind of went through the wrappers.
Okay.
Our factories in Nicaragua. When we first started out, we used a factory out of the Dominican, small factory. Kind of used a middleman. We didn't know what we were doing, and as we outgrew their capacity, and so as we were outgrowing their capacity, the quality kind of dropped. And then we went and sourced a factory out of Nicaragua, which is the Plasencia factory. Great factory, huge. They make cigars for all the major brands, really good quality. I love the factory. And so but the cool thing about the factory is they're such a large factory, they can import tobacco from all over the world.
Oh, nice.
And so they have I think on the shelf, they have 160 different types of tobaccos.
Wow.
Yeah. And so our fillers and wrappers are mostly Nicaraguan, but there's some Honduran, there's some Colombian, some Dominican fillers and stuff thrown in there. So some Brazilian. So it's kind of just because they're made in Nicaragua doesn't mean they're 100% Nicaraguan, because they import the tobacco from there. So. Yeah.
See, I've learned a little bit about cigars since then. A lot of people, he's looking at me when I'm telling him all these questions. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Trust me, dude, you'll find out soon enough. Back when I worked midnights for my job, I worked for the Department of Homeland Security, and back when I worked midnights, I'd be on the way home, and the Cigar Dave show would be on.
Okay.
And so I got to listening to that a lot, and I'm like, that kind of, I was like, I like cigars. I don't smoke them enough, but I started learning a lot through listening to that show. And then I moved to Florida, and I got spoiled.
Oh, yeah. Florida's the Mecca.
Yeah, because you have Tampa, which is the cigar capital of the world. Yeah. And I got introduced to Rocky Patel's and some of them. And they were very good. And again, it's kind of like high-end firearms. My wallet didn't like them.
Right.
But I've had a few cigars. I don't have a humidor or anything because I don't really have as much time to sit and smoke cigars as I would like. But I do like to sit around. My brother-in-law has quit smoking, but actually picked up smoking cigars occasionally. Yeah. And me and him we'll be out at a bonfire or something with a group of friends drinking beer, and he'll pull out a cigar, fire it up, and I'm just like, since when did you become a cigar smoker all of a sudden?
Right. It's not a big industry, but it's bigger than most people think it is. There's a lot of people that smoke cigars that when you're working with them, they're not necessarily talking about it, but it's fun because you can go into any cigar lounge and politics, any racial bullshit, all that stuff gets checked at the door. And you can just sit down and smoke cigars and have a conversation with the guy next to you or the lady next to you. And it's just a great environment. It's super friendly. I've never had a really bad experience in a cigar lounge.
That's something else I was impressed with is the amount of ladies getting into smoking cigars.
Absolutely. I think it's probably about 30% right now and probably growing. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Thank you. Wife had to bring
I've never smoked a real cigar in my life.
You will here as soon as we're done with this.
Probably. Yeah, nobody's perfect. It's okay.
So he said, tell us about the different gauges of cigars.
So the gauge is just like a ring gauge, right? So, I mean, you can go down from anything from 38 gauge is typically sometimes like a Lancero, long and skinny cigar. The one I'm smoking here is a 6-inch by 60. Your typical cigar is a Toro. Well, this one here is a double Corona, so it's 7 inches by 52 gauge. So it's a little bit narrower compared to the 60. But You know, for me, my favorite is like a 6x44. But I'll smoke anything, any gauge. It doesn't really matter. I don't like them if they get like there's some that are 70 gauge and 80 gauge. I won't smoke those unless I'm like in a car and nobody's watching. It just it's awkward.
You feel like Fidel Castro with a cigar about this big, like
yeah. So,
and like I said, I've learned a lot of cigars. What do you think of box press cigars?
So our Victory is a box press torpedo. It's just a different feel. It doesn't do a whole lot to the taste, I guess, but it gives it that feel of a more premium. Sometimes it feels better in your hand having a box press. I don't know that it's a big deal though. It's just personal preference.
If you were wondering what a box press is, it's not round; it's square. Oh. It's a box.
I got one here. I can show you. That's my humidor.
Damn.
So this is a box press.
Okay.
And this is also our Victory. So.
Oh, I like that. I like the band on it too.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just square. So, and then this one's already cut, but then the torpedo is just tapers to a point instead of a round, just smaller in your mouth feel. So, once again,
you're learning stuff, aren't you?
Yeah,
he's learning. Yeah. That's awesome.
You know, when I first started too, because like I said, I was never in the industry, so I had to learn all the terms. I had to learn how to do a little bit of blending. I had to learn everything, right? So the sizes, you know, you have a Robusto, Toro, Double Corona, 660, Rothschild. You know, there's all these different terms.
The Churchill and all of them.
Yeah. So you gotta, you know, to somebody who doesn't know it, it's confusing.
It is, and it's interesting because of people and listening to people talk cigars, and then, like I said, listening to the Cigar Dave show. I don't even know if that show's even on anymore.
I don't know if it is.
But I learned way too much about cigars and, you know, the different sizes and the styles and, you know, like the Churchills, the box press. So, like, when I told him we were going to do this, he's like, dude, I don't know nothing about cigars. I was like, don't worry. I know enough to pass.
Right.
So, like, is there a special way to cut each individual, like, size or anything? Or
the size doesn't matter, but there's definitely a cutting technique. And there's different styles of cutters. I don't know if I have them all here, but I'll show you this because it's a mistake that a lot of people who don't know make. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a cap on here and there's two lines. I don't know if you can see the two lines. You want to cut in between those two lines. If you cut below them, the whole cigar is going to start unraveling on you. So if you ever see anybody cut like that much off, that's way too much. You know, you're wanting to cut about to here, you know, kind of right in between these two lines here is where you want to cut. But then there's like a V cutter, which is what I cut this one with. That one, you can't really mess it up. You just put it in and cut to the V. The only time that's problematic is if you have a real skinny cigar, then it can get a little too deep. But any normal size cigar or bigger, the V cut's kind of what I prefer. So
I've seen a lot of people transitioning to V cutters instead of the old like guillotine style. A lot of people are smoking V cuts.
It kind of closes it all off, so to me it's less likely to unravel if you V cut it. So
that was something I learned the hard way. I would have cigars like start to unravel, and I'm like take a hit, and I'm like, wait a minute, that was part of the wrapper.
Yeah.
How far do you smoke yours down? Because I know people that'll smoke them all the way to the band. I know people that'll,
it depends on the cigar, I suppose. But no, like, okay, and so with the band too, right? A lot of people want to pull the band off right away when they get the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is you don't want to do that, because if you start having a problem where it's unraveling, the band will keep it together. So and if you smoke it down to the band, the band will get warm, and the glue will come off easier, and there's less of a risk of you tearing the wrapper of the cigar.
I'm gonna have to tell Doug that.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law that he does that instantly. He pulls the wrapper off of them.
The band. I never do that. I always leave the band on. One, it gives you something to hold on to not damage the cigar.
Nice.
And then it helps kind of keep it together. So, yeah.
All right, let's see.
So what about lighting? Match versus torch versus regular lighter.
No, never use a regular lighter. I know.
We're virgin here.
So, because I'm a stupid infantryman, I would use a magnifying glass. I would rub sticks together. I don't really care how I light it, but the etiquette behind it, right? There is a technique to lighting. So I'll light another one. The biggest thing is it doesn't really matter if you use a match or I have a torch. This is a flat flame, so there's no point. It doesn't get super hot at one point. But what you want to do is you want to toast it. So you want to get it warm. Not really burn it, but you want to get it warm before, and then it lights so much easier. And then what you want to do is you want to look at it, blow on it. You can see if there's any cold spots. Just hit them up. Make sure it's lit uniformly around. We get a lot of calls from people that, not a lot, but sometimes somebody will call up and they'll be like, oh, my cigar burned funny, right? I'm like, okay, cool. We got a kind of a warranty. So, if you have a bad experience with one, we'll send you another one. But I'll have them send me a picture. And it'll be like half of it was lit, and so only half of it burned. Well, you got to get it all the way lit. And if it starts to burn funny, like this one's burning pretty good, but say like this is burning down a little farther, all you got to do while you're smoking it is just touch it up a little bit, and then just kind of even it out. And, there's nothing wrong with touching it up. So it's just, if you don't know, you don't know. So we a lot of our customers that are kind of newer to smoking, we get all these questions. So none of these questions are new to me. But
so you're saying I can't use my heirloom Zippo?
You can. I don't.
Yeah, I got 2 Zippos that were my grandpa's that he gave me when he died. So
I think the reason you don't want to use a Zippo, or I don't know, but it's just harder to get it lit. And if you use a Zippo, like I said, I'm a dumb grunt. So if I had to use a magnifying glass to light my cigar, I'd get her done, right? I've lit them off of a hot suppressor. It doesn't matter to me, right?
That's just American, though.
Yeah,
lighting it off of a hot suppressor.
There's a cool video out there somewhere of that. But
you can fry bacon on suppressors.
Yes.
The key is if you use that's what we'd call a soft flame. If you use a soft flame lighter, the key is just to get it torched good before you go to light it. Otherwise, when you suck it in, that flame will just go in, and it won't necessarily get it all the way lit. It'll light down the middle more. Okay. So just something to be aware of. So
nice. Which it's cool because you're asking questions that I was going to ask, and so this is awesome. Like, you're learning and covering questions I was going to ask. Let's see here. Where are we at? Yeah. So, do you consider cigars a gentlemanly thing, or is it kind of like right now a trendy fad?
So, I think cigars are all of the above, right? We ran an ad for a while, like at the trade show. In the back of our booth, it's a silhouette of a sniper in a ghillie suit, and it just says, "Not all cigar smokers wear suits." It's kind of a jab at the industry and kind of like saying who we are, right? It can be that. I think cigar smoking from the outside looking in might be perceived as, it's the, I don't know. There's a perception there that it's not for everybody, but it really is. So that's another thing about the cigar lounges, right? You can go in there and you can sit down with the CEO of a corporation that's worth millions of dollars. And then there's a guy that's a janitor, and they're sitting there having a cigar together and having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I like about the industry. And I think that perception is going away, that cigar smoking is only for one type of person. It's for everybody. So.
See, back when I was younger, the only people that smoked cigars were all the old guys at, like the VFW or at the bar.
Right. Or they're just the only ones you ever seen do it.
I guess I would say the only ones I ever seen do it. Now, the one question that everybody seems to always get wrong or not sure. Say you can't finish a cigar. What's the best way for either extinguishing it, putting it out? How do you go about that?
So when you're done with the cigar, you want to put it in the ashtray and just let it go out naturally. You don't want to smash it like a cigarette. You don't want to do any of that, right? So I don't have any in here that I can. Here's one out of my trash. So this one's been out, right? Now, when you relight a cigar, it's not going to be as good, especially if it's been out for a while, right? If it's been out longer than 3 minutes, your quality is going to degrade. If you were to relight this cigar, you'd want to knock all the ash out of it that you could so that it's mostly gone, and then just relight it. But like I said, if you wait an hour or two, it's almost not worth going back. I mean, even if I would get a cutter and cut it off below where it was burning, it's still not going to be nearly as good because you smoked through it already. It's just
and that's what I've tried to do is let them burn out and go back and cut them, and I'm just like, no, this isn't even.
Yeah, and if somebody's trying to save one and they put it like back in their humidor with their other cigars, the other cigars are going to be shot. Wow. So it's one of those things where you want to set aside the time to smoke it, or just know that if you don't finish it, you're not going to finish it. So
explain now with the humidors, because cigars need humidity basically to stay fresh.
Yes. So in a perfect world, they say you want to keep them at 70 degrees at 70% humidity. If you go over 72% humidity, they can start to mold, and they burn a little slower because they're a little wet. They're a little more wet, right? Mm-hmm. I like my cigars at 65%, a little bit drier. To me, they burn a little bit better. It's just what I prefer is about 65%. And I think most cigar smokers will agree with that. But in a humidor, and when you have to ship them and stuff, you like to store them at 70%, or we keep our walk-in humidor at about 68%. So, but if they get below like 50%, then they're like, you're burning dry leaves, and it'll cut your smoking time by it'll cut like a quarter of the time off of it because it just burns so fast.
I've had a few that were dry.
Yeah, and then they'll fall apart, they'll crack. Yeah.
It's literally like trying to smoke rolled up dried leaves.
Yeah, like this one, and I've already been smoking on it, but like I can squeeze it and it's not going to crack, or you know what I mean? But that's because it has some humidity in it. If this one was at like 60% or lower, if I did that, it would start to crumble. So,
yeah.
So can you rehumidify one?
Yes.
How long? I mean, obviously, it's going to be dependent on how dried out it actually is. But is there an average time, like stick it in your humidor and let it sit for a week?
They say it takes. Now I don't know when this maxes out, but they say it takes 3 times the amount of time to rehumidify it. So if you leave it out of your humidor for a day, it'll take 3 days in the humidor to bring it back to where it was.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure you reach a point where the cigar's been out for a month. It
ain't going to take humidity.
It's not going to take 3 months to bring it back, I don't think. So, I don't know once you reach that point, but I know like you can take a cigar that's completely dried out and just put it in your humidor and forget about it, and eventually it'll come back. So, you might lose some of your flavors that way. But
makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's go to well, you said you had a story with the Irish whiskey. So what do you prefer with a cigar? Bourbon, whiskey, Scotch?
So I'm not much of a Scotch drinker. I've tried.
I see a lot of people drink Scotch and cigars.
I think it's because the Scotch has a very bold flavor, right? And so when you add bold flavors to your palate and then you smoke, it changes the flavors. And I think the more contrast you have there is what people like. I don't like peaty Scotch. So I
don't like Scotch, period. So
I have a Scotch or two that are expensive. And so my go-to is whiskey. I drink a lot of Jameson just for economic reasons. But when I was in Nicaragua, so I'll go to my story. I like Irish whiskeys. When I was in Nicaragua, I was drinking with the Irish guy, and I was drinking Jameson, and he's like, "Oh, why do you drink that shit?" I'm like, "You're Irish, do tell." Okay.
Please tell me.
I'm listening, right? And he's like, "Oh, you should, like, what do you like?" And he says, "I like the single distilled, whiskey or Irish whiskeys, and not blends, which Jameson's a blend." And he said, "Have you ever tried Green Spot or Yellow Spot?" And I said, "I have not." So when I got back home, I went and I got a bottle of Green Spot, and it is delicious. This bottle's gone, but this is a container it came in. So
nice.
Yeah, it's just.
I will have to look that up.
Yeah, it's very good. Another bourbon that we've gotten into drinking is a Horse Soldier bourbon. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So it was started by the fifth group guys that rode into Afghanistan on the horses.
Okay.
Like the 12 Strong movie.
Yeah.
So those guys started this bourbon, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll give it a try," and it is amazing bourbon.
Nice. I will have to try that.
I absolutely love it. It's called a Horse Soldier. Very, very good. That's kind of been my go-to lately too. So
nice.
Yeah.
Like we said before the beginning of the show there, my brother-in-law got me hooked on the Irish whiskeys. I mean, back when I would drink before I was 21, it was Jack Daniels. I was and still will always be a Jack Daniels drinker. And
I drink cheap. It's Ezra Brooks.
That's a whole nother world.
Wow, we really need to. There are so many things.
I have 4 kids, dude. You got 1.
You need to come up here more often and drink that.
Ezra Brooks, that's not a sport. That's a hangover before you're drunk.
No, that's like
I've never
Tito's.
had a hangover in my life, dude.
That's like. You can hear my wife in the background complaining about this. That's like what is that? El Toro Loco.
Croutons, you'll never get a hangover.
Oh God. No,
one thing that I do not drink, and I because for some reason every time I drink it, if I have like a shot or two there, I'm fine. But if I drink tequila, I want to fight.
See, tequila loves me. I get goofy on tequila.
Oh, I don't care if it's top shelf, bottom shelf, or gas station tequila. Like I want to fight. But other people I can't drink whiskey because I want to fight. I'm like, dude, I drink whiskey and I get like you. I get goofy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just laid back, chill.
Yeah, that's whiskey for me. Yeah.
Oh God. Thanks.
Sorry.
So other than your own cigars, what's your favorite cigar company?
Oh, you screwed me up when you said company, because a lot of people ask me what my favorite cigar is, and my answer is it's the one I haven't had yet, because I like to try new cigars.
Okay.
So I'll smoke. I got like I said, my humidor back there. I've got other people's brands in there, and I like to smoke a lot of different things. As far as my favorite cigar company, that answer is not going to be based on their cigars. It's going to be based on the people that run the company, because I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of cool companies out there. There's a company called Hireman and Solomon. They're a Mason-based cigar company. I got to hang out with those guys in Nicaragua quite a bit, and they became good friends of ours. Yeah, there's Esteban Carrera. He's the guy that owns it is a former Marine. One of their sales reps is an Army guy, so I get along with that company really well. Drew Estates, a lot of the people that work there, I get along with the sales reps a lot. So I mean, it's just
I smoked a lot of the Drew Estates. I smoked their acids.
Right.
That's what I fell in love with the Acid Deluxe,
Right.
and most of the places now don't sell them because I don't know why. They used to sell a lot of them, and now they're just selling just the regular, like the
Kubas.
Yeah, the Cuba Cubas or the Blondies, but nobody sells the Deluxes anymore in the aluminum tube. Hey, pros, still there? Yep,
Yeah, I have some of those. Yep.
You froze up a little bit there.
Yeah, shoot me your address. I have some of those. So when I owned my gun store, I used to sell other cigars and stuff, and so I have some of those. And I think what that is it was a size and not necessarily a blend. So I think it's the same blend as a Cuba Cuba. It was just in a different size.
Oh, okay.
But I think I have some of those. So yeah, I'll send you a sampler and a couple of those Drew Estates.
Sweet, thanks. Appreciate that.
So I was browsing your website the other day, checking because I'm doing my research.
Right.
But and I saw, the closest dealer for them is in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a bit off for us.
Yeah, it's like a 6-hour drive.
So Ohio's tough because you guys have some weird state laws, and so.
Yeah, please don't remind us we have very shitty politicians here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not Virginia, but we've got shit politicians.
So if I want to sell to a dealer in Ohio, they have to ask the state for permission and get the permission in order for me to ship it there. Which essentially, that way the state knows that they're going to pay the tax on how many cigars are going there. If I wanted to be able to ship directly to Ohio, I have to get like a $1,500 state permit myself to be able to ship to any dealer. That's why we don't have a lot of dealers, because I'm not quite to the point where I want to fork over for that
right.
Ohio. And then I got to keep track of it.
Oh,
it's more
crap,
the time.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that's why. And then they passed it we can't ship into Utah directly to customers anymore. We can't ship directly to South Dakota anymore. There's a lot of regulations coming down the pipe that are pretty detrimental to the cigar industry. So
what you're saying is I probably should order a bunch of cigars off of you before Ohio tries to do something stupid.
Well, it's not necessarily Ohio anymore. It's just the whole FDA and all that stuff. There's a lot of, that's a whole nother episode about the FDA. But
yeah.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure we're going to probably do an episode on all the Alphabet Boys soon.
Yeah. So
I have a feeling that it's going to be happening sooner than later, which I always said when I first started this. I didn't want to get political, but with everything going on, I was like, yep, nope, we're definitely going to be talking about all the Alphabet Boys.
Yeah. We do a podcast too, and it's hard to stay away from the politics. I think we just want to have. I think the way we do it is we want to have we have our viewpoints, right? And our viewpoints don't necessarily have to be right, left, or whatever, but it's a viewpoint. It doesn't I don't know. Politically, I want all my gay friends to be able to smoke weed and protect their weed with guns.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. But there's definitely things like that, like what Virginia's trying to do with the guns. I don't like to see that. There's regulations with tobacco, like they snuck in the 21, right? So it's even been said that if you get, I can't remember, but if you get caught with smoking say a 20-year-old gets caught smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he charged as an adult?
From what I understand, at least in the state of Ohio, the first offense, I think the first offense is like a warning, and then the second offense, I want to say, is something like outrageous, like $1,000 fine.
Yeah, but there's some states that say it's a misdemeanor or something like that, right? But as a 20-year-old, you're getting charged for being underage, but you're being charged as an adult because you're over 18.
This goes back to the one thing that I always don't understand. So you can go off for your country, fight in another country, sign up for the military at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21, and you can't smoke now until you're 21.
Not only that, but you can vote. You can adopt a child.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But you can't
do everything else.
Whether or not you want to smoke something, like, give me a break.
Yeah. If you're going to make the age to be legally an adult, it should cover everything across the board.
That's why I said 18.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are a lot of 18-year-olds that I know personally, and myself probably would have been that way, that
right.
There are some things probably I shouldn't have been doing at 18.
Shit, I've been drinking since I'm 9 years old, dude. So
there is something wrong with you. That's why. See, I thought it was the lead paint chips from the farmhouse.
No, my dad built his house, so there was no lead paint.
Okay, see, so
I'm not that old.
Oh, shut up.
You're older than me.
Yes, I am, and I just turned another year older as of 3 days ago. So let's see. Going down through our questions here. I'm gonna just. Did Epstein kill himself?
No, not at all.
So far, that's 5 for 5.
5 for 5.
Yeah.
I asked that question because I figure if anybody from the Clinton Foundation ever listens to this episode, then they can get a general consensus of what America thinks.
Yeah, and I've seen it on Facebook already, but I'm starting it early. Gervais did not kill himself.
No, that was beautiful though. Did you see any of that?
Yes.
That was absolutely
magical.
Beautiful. And he's just like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, this is the last one I'm ever going to be on. I don't care.
Yeah. My favorite part was everybody's got all these disgusted looks on their face, and Adam Driver's just sitting there laughing his ass off.
When the former grunt knows, like, yep, I'm right there with you, man. I didn't actually know he was a former mortarman until, like, after this all came out, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what? Dude was a mortarman? That's cool as shit. Yeah. There's a reason why I liked him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting down to the last couple ones here. Since you worked in the firearms industry for a little bit, the one question we ask all of our guests, what's your favorite firearm, favorite caliber, and favorite optic?
Ooh, so that'd be like me asking you what your favorite golf club is.
I don't golf, so.
Nope.
Give me a category of firearm, because I can't just like, okay. Zombie apocalypse, I would take probably an AR. Are you talking long range though? Like, you gotta help me out here.
We'll go, since you were a sniper instructor. What's your favorite bolt gun?
Favorite bolt gun is probably the one I have right there, the blue one. It's a Bighorn TL3 action, beautiful action. My caliber right now. It's probably 6.5. That one's a 6.5 by 47 Lapua, which is almost the exact same thing as a 6.5 Creedmoor. I would go with the Creedmoor if I could only have one, because you can get off-the-shelf ammo. Yeah. Anything 6.5 shoots really well. It's just the nature of the round. Favorite optic is tough. That optic's a dinosaur, but it's probably one of my favorites yet. It's a Premier Reticle. The company doesn't make them anymore. I think they sold it. It's essentially, it was sold to Tangent Theta. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's just a really good optic. So.
Yeah, I figured, well, since you were, a sniper instructor, we'll just kind of stick to the long guns.
Yeah. I mean, I can rattle off like for my pistol, I have a 226 single action only Legion. It's a great pistol.
This guy, like, the more this guy speaks, the more I like this guy more than any. Like, he's awesome.
I don't know if you can see the bottom gun down there. So it's a Kalashnikov anniversary edition, and I got a signature with like Kalashnikov's signature.
Wow.
It's kind of I haven't ever shot it yet, but I'm like borderline like, fuck it, I'm gonna take it to the range. They only made like 200 of them in silver and like 100 of them in gold, but I don't know. That's kind of a cool rifle. The next one up's a retro AR, so it's based off of the M16A1. The next one up is a SIG MCX. The next one up is when I owned a gun store, I had Seekins do receivers with my brand on it, which was Reaper Arms. So that's serial number 1 of my own line I had for a while.
Oh, nice.
And then the skip in the blue one, the one up top's an M24, which is kind of what I carried in the military.
And the M24 is built on the Remington 700 platform, right?
Yeah. It's in reality, it's a really platform because the scope's mil dot reticle, and then it's got MOA turrets, which doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's a fixed 10 power. It's a 308 on a long action. Like, there's a lot with the M24 that doesn't make sense, but they turned it into the M2010, which is a 300 Win Mag now.
I just seen that. I'd seen that.
Which is what they planned on doing in 1985, I guess. I don't know. But
They just selected. I guess they just selected what, SIG for the ammunition supplier now. I just read an article somewhere for the 300 Win Mag.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just read an article. I think it was today. Maybe I just seen it today. They selected SIG for the ammunition supplier, the 300 Win Mag. I was like, well, that's different.
Did you see the new?
Yeah.
Have you seen the new modular platform that they're testing? It was John Lovell and Ryan Kleckner did a video on it on the Warrior Poet Society page.
What is it for?
It's a modular sniper system.
SIG?
I don't know if it was SIG. I don't remember who did it.
I will have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Well, we've been going for just a little over an hour and 3 minutes. Where can our listeners find you guys at?
So on Instagram, we're just Warfighter Tobacco. On Facebook, Warfighter Tobacco Company, I believe. And then our website is just warfightertobacco.com. We're pretty active on Instagram and Facebook. So
I was going to say, I keep up with you mainly on Instagram.
Yeah, we do quite a bit on that. And, and then we have our own podcast we do with a couple guys from Grunt Style called Freedom Friends.
Nice.
Give that a listen. But
I will have to give that one a listen.
Yeah.
On that rifle, it's a SOCOM, the new SOCOM sniper rifle, the Barrett M22.
Oh, Barrett got the contract?
That's what it's looking like.
That's okay.
The only Barrett I like is the M82A1.
Yeah. I carried an M107, which is the same thing, around for a while, and they were okay.
Yeah. When you absolutely positively want to hit the robber behind your neighbor's fridge in the next area code.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, give us a couple minutes. We'll finish the episode up, and then we'll be back to BS with you for a little bit if you can hang out with us for a little bit more.
Yeah, sounds good.
Other than that, man, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you coming on and everything. I know you guys are probably busy with everything going on for SHOT Show. I don't know if you guys go to SHOT Show or not, but I know you guys
going this year just to
probably
hang out. But
pretty busy with that. So, again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Got anything else?
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're very welcome.
No, I got nothing.
All right. I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
Keep the bearded tank.
Daddy Brigade Podcast out.